Please work this time. Can you hear me? Yes, and I can see your chat. Can you hear me though? Awesome. All right. There you go. Does that help you guys see what's on the board? Yeah, I know. I'm sorry that took so long, guys. I don't know what was going on with YouTube. I know I wrote a lot, and I was writing a lot because I knew the technical difficulties we were having, where I can zoom in for you then if it is blurry. Better? I just don't want YouTube taking us down for copyright again. I'm trying to literally not get anything in my screen. Is that better, Joanna Marie? Today we're going to be going over chapter 6 in The Great Gatsby, as well as seeing where you guys are with your work. I know you guys are doing the compare and contrast chapter, and I want to make sure we're reinforcing that information. Sorry for the confusion, guys. What I'll do is I'm going to try to get something to hold this up this close for you. I want you to be able to see. Oh, my bad. My bad. Yes, chapter 6 is due this week, not today. By Friday, chapter 4 and 5 were already due. So if you did not turn in your chapter 4 and 5, make sure you get that in. Your chapter 6 is due this week. Chapter 6 is due this week. It's Wednesday. Today is Wednesday. All right. So, guys, for your compare and contrast chapter, no, 4 and 5 was already due last week, Joanna Marie. Chapter 6 is due this week. Everyone else already turned in their 4 and 5. Some already turned in their 6. Yes, I did send the vocab words with it. This is currently the textbook stuff, yes. Elise Marie, I sent you the dates in your email. I'll read off that email to you again. So, Elise Marie, chapter 4 and 5 was due this past Monday. Chapter 6 is due Friday. The short story comprehension packets are due at your leisure, but by the end of the week, try to get one in. And the textbook chapter packets we go over as a class each week. We were talking about chapter 4 last week already. So chapter 4 and 5 were due at the beginning of this week because chapter 6 is due at the end of this week because our timeline was originally supposed to be, you guys were only here. Yes, 30th is Monday. Natalie, that's what I'm saying. Let's see. Did I say that? If so, you're fine, Joanna Marie. Don't worry about it. I did say that. I did see that. And chapter 6 is due the week after. That's my fault, Joanna Marie. So these are notes that I want you guys to take down. We're going to be going over the textbook stuff. And we're going to be going over the Great Gatsby. Elise Marie, I don't know why you're confused. These are just notes. These are things that I wanted you guys to have, which is why they're already up here. Joanna Marie, you're fine. I'm not even taking late points off right now because of the confusing situation you guys find yourselves in. And I'm not sure if we're going to be doing this the rest of the year or not. So we will see. I sent you an email from my Urban Promise email, and I gave you the dates. Check your Urban Promise email. If you need me to, I will copy and paste it for everyone here to see. Here you go. All this information is here. I don't know why your brain is done, Elise Marie. Don't give up so easily. You got this. All right. All right. Just take these notes. Yeah, I understand. That's fine. So your short story comprehension packet, the one with 10 questions, I said was due by the end of the week. All right, I put that in your email. I said chapter 6 is due by Friday. Okay, it's not hard. Most people already got chapter 6 into me already. For those who didn't, that's fine. You still have time. The textbook packet that I gave you, Elise Marie, that says Yes, chapter 6 you can have into me by Monday. If you can get it to me by Friday, that will help because I can have it graded for you by the next week. Since you guys are so worried about where's your grades, I want to be able to give you guys enough time to be able to do that. Okay? So Natalie Coelho, if you turn it in on Monday, that's fine. Where what? Elise Marie, you're saying one word. Where what? You're making this very complicated, Elise Marie. What do you need? I'm glad to answer any question you have. The compare and contrast paper, if you're asking what paper, is one that I am prepping you for with this chapter packet. The textbook packet was given to you in the folder that was sent home with you guys before we left for break. Miss Rodriguez should have given one to whichever family member came to pick it up for you. I made sure Miss Rodriguez had everything for every student. If you happen to not get your folder, if you go to Alma, you'll be able to pull up all the things that your class should have had, and it should be all there. Every single thing that you would need. No, you should have had a few thick packets. You can ask your classmates. There's quite a few things in there. All right. Well, if you can't get into Alma, that's something I would contact Andy for. And he can look into seeing why you can't get in. I know you emailed me, and I emailed you the assignments. I was not under the impression that you had them, that you didn't have any of the papers at all. Yeah, Natalie gave it to you. I was gonna say I remember Natalie taking the folder because she lives near you. So Elise Marie, what information is in your folder? What do you have in there? Hi Samaya, how are you? I saw that you did comment your name. Only 2 papers. What 2 papers? One is the article. And what's your other one, Elise Marie? The compare and contrast is the chapter packet. The compare and contrast is your chapter packet. You should also have received a packet about, so you should have a compare and contrast packet. You should have a packet about the civil rights Washington Post short story. And then you should have your chapter 4, 5, and then 6 packet for the Great Gatsby. That's all the things that you guys should have had for right now. Elise Marie, you should have the ability to find the 4, 5, and 6 packet. If not, I will send them in an email to you. But you should have gotten those because everyone was given those. But right now, I need you guys to have your compare and contrast out. Unfortunately, this took a lot of time. I'm glad you have the packet, Elise Marie, but now half the class is gone. All right. So I hope you guys got this information. Does everyone have this? Can I erase this now? All right. Can I erase all of it? That's my fault, guys. Tried to zoom in for you so you guys could see. All right. So with your compare and contrast packet, we talked about it lightly last week. I'm going to zoom this out so I can be on the screen again. All right. So we started going over compare and contrast last week. You're going to be doing this because we are going to be discussing the time period as well as the Great Gatsby book. We are not through the book, but remember this book is very short. So we should be getting through this very quickly. Okay? The 1920s and his life are what F. Scott Fitzgerald based this book around. So knowing this information, we should be able to look up information on F. Scott Fitzgerald and look for those compare and contrast between himself and the character Jay Gatsby. So once we finish this book or are close to it, we will be able to complete a compare and contrast essay to the best of our ability, and we will have a ton of information available to make it work. I'm glad it's working for you, Jasmine. All right. So if you read in your chapter 21 packet, it starts with reading a compare and contrast article. I want you guys to go through that yourselves. That portion for your information is just going to give you highlighted points of this is what they're talking about in this article. This is what they're talking about in regards to the main ideas, supporting facts, what is their objective, supporting details, etc. If you open up page 600 in the compare and contrast packet, okay, you're going to see the main idea and supporting details. So you're going to see some words that you should already know by now, such as main idea, thesis, statement. And I'm going to write these bigger, that way you guys can see. Thesis statement, and also what an implied main idea is. All right. So, we'll also put, even though this is pretty explanatory, supporting details, right? So these are going to be the key things that we want to know and have for our compare and contrast, right? So if we were doing a Jay Gatsby to the 1920s or F. Scott Fitzgerald versus Jay Gatsby comparison, what would our main idea be? Our main idea would be how Jay Gatsby and F. Scott Fitzgerald are alike and different, right? Our thesis statement would include the information that we want our reader to take away from our essay. So if we are speaking of Jay Gatsby and F. Scott Fitzgerald being similar and different in certain ways, our thesis statement should go along with the idea that the entire thing is focused on. So, how are Jay Gatsby and F. Scott Fitzgerald similar and different? That's where our supporting details would help reinforce our thesis statement. Okay? Our thesis statement, I'm going to write the definition down for you. All right. That way you guys have it. Of your essay or article. All right. It's a declarative statement. Sorry I'm in your way, guys. I understand. I just don't have a lot of space. House is small. It's a declarative statement. Where am I? For your main topic. All right. And that's it. I. All right. So those supporting details the supporting details are going to be the key points in each paragraph. Key evidence to support your main claim in each paragraph. All right. So, with a paper for Jay Gatsby in the 1920s, maybe we would have some information that would talk about bootlegging, maybe the flapper era, the parties, what it meant to be rich in New York at the time, etc. How money influenced F. Scott Fitzgerald, his feelings, and how that was really an overarching theme in his life, right? We have those ideas and we know that to be fact as we've gone over that information. So, next, I want to talk about how we can use this information and really put it to work for us. As you see here, you will find a main idea and supporting details grid or graph. You can use that outline that you see in your packet if that works for you. Me personally, I have a different thing that works for me, but I'm going to show you my way as well as this way, and you can choose what works for you, how you like to organize your thoughts, and how you can best effectively get through this paper and have your facts. The more organized your template is before you actually get into the formal writing, the more organized your thoughts can be when you turn in that rough draft or that final draft of the essay, because you will see for yourself this was point A, point B, point C, and that's exactly the order I wanted to talk about them in level of importance and in level of detail. So you guys have this, right? I can erase main idea and thesis statement. Main idea is the main talking point. Okay. So go ahead and write this down. Give you guys about 2-3 minutes for that. I'll also zoom one more time. All right. Am I good to erase main idea and thesis statement at least? You guys have that? Those should be the top things you should have. Jasmine, try to get your. It's 4 and 5 in one packet. 4 and 5. Get to me today if you haven't already. Your chapter 6, you have until Monday. As I would love it if you can get it to me Friday, but if you get it to me Monday, that's perfectly fine. All right. Awesome. Do you guys need the bottom portion? I'll keep supporting details there just in case. All right. So, how can we write something like this? You can't really see it, Joanna Marie. Do you need me to rewrite thesis statement and all of that? Is that what you didn't want to erase? If so, I will gladly rewrite it, or I will type it up in the chat. All right. So, next, I'm going to draw this graph. So we have our main idea, right? After we have our main idea, I personally like to write in bullet points, where this graph in your packet gives you almost like a spider web, right? I personally don't like that. I think I can get confused with the way I write sometimes. So me personally, instead of those lines, I'll do what's my main idea, right? That is got a star next to it. And then for your main idea, we'll then write talking point 1. All right. You're going to have 3 talking points, let's say, right? for 3 body paragraphs. All right, so we have talking point 1, 2, and 3. Can I erase this bottom half? All right. So, all right, let's say we bring in talking point 3 now that we have more space. All right, so right, we have our main idea. We have our talking point 1, 2, and 3. So for the 1920s, I want to talk about prohibition. I want to talk about the change in women's lifestyle and rights. And let's say I wanted to talk about the 1920s flapper era, right? So we have our main idea, which would be J. Gatsby and F. Scott Fitzgerald, compare and contrast, right? We have talking point 1. Then from there, we would make 3 bullet points. And in those 3 bullet points, it would be talking point 1 is how we intro our paragraph, right? This is going to let individuals know that this is what this paragraph is about. Point 1, 2, and 3 underneath it are going to be the supporting details. These are your supporting details. Okay? You do this for each one. You come up with a minimum of 3 supporting details, right? You have 1, 2, and 3 details. All right. So we have our supporting details on the side. What this does is this allows you to visually, in almost the order of a paper instead of a graph, you get to see when this information will come up. Talking point 1, the most important talking point is going to be my paragraph 1 per se, right? And these are the things that I want to speak about under talking point 1. Once I am done talking about talking point 1, I can then move to my next paragraph, talking point 2, and get your details. You do the same thing for 3. You have your details and however many paragraphs. Let's say you had 4 or 5 talking points. That's okay. Okay? It all depends on 1, the length of your paper, how in depth the topic is that you're speaking of, and how passionate you are as a writer in expressing these ideas. Lastly, you are going to, at the end, conclude it all. All right. And your conclusion should just restate your main idea. Okay? So, once you're at your conclusion part, they're already going to know all the key information. So you want to wrap it up in a way that shows your compare and contrast main idea for the start of your article. You want to wrap it up easy for them. No cliffhanger ending. You don't want it to be that they're more confused at the end than they were starting your paper. So make sure your conclusion is strong, succinct, meaning to the point, and that you are making sure that your information has not changed from your main idea to your conclusion. You want to be talking about the same stuff all throughout. So we don't have a lot of time to talk of The Great Gatsby, but in chapter 5, you see an intimate side of Gatsby, right? I was looking over a lot of your packets, and your descriptors of the way Gatsby was feeling or acting when he was at Nick's house were pretty vague, I'm going to say. I think that you guys, if you connected more with the reading, you could see maybe some of his reactions were maybe a little bit more than you wrote. So I'll give you guys time to look at this, but I want to talk about chapter 5 in like the next minute. We have 2 minutes, so it's not going to be a lot of discussion, but I would like to try to get through that. Elise Marie, if you could email me again, because I want to make sure you get situated. That way, next time we can just dive into the learning and there's no confusion. I want to make sure that you're able to keep up with your classmates and feel secure every day. Natalie Nieves, we will be writing an essay. Not yet, okay? I want us to get through a lot more of The Great Gatsby before I even bring this essay out to you guys, but at least you can start thinking about the topic. So, guys, the one question I'm going to ask you before we head out is, how do you believe the first meeting of Gatsby and Daisy went, going from Nick's house to Gatsby's house through that whole chapter? How do you think that went? And what do you think could have gone better? What do you guys think could have gone better, and what happened in chapter 5? So you see the way Gatsby acts and reacts, right, when he's at Nick's house. Why do you think he reacts so much? And what is your impression of Gatsby and Daisy's first meeting, including Nick's house as well as Gatsby's house? Because the vibe changes when they're at Gatsby's house, right? He's almost in an environment that he can control there. That's okay, Joanna Marie. Don't worry about it. I'm not thinking too much into the lateness. I just want to make sure that people are giving me enough time to grade. That's it. So, Natalie, do you have an answer? Do you have any thoughts? Anybody in the class have any thoughts? How do you think the mood changed throughout Gatsby and Nick's houses? How do you think that went? How do you think that experience was for all the individuals involved? Elise Marie, I can check for your chapter 3 if it's in Alma. Chapter 3 was when we were still in school, so if you turned it in, the grade would be in by now because I made sure not to leave anything at work. Nick does start to feel like a third wheel. He definitely does in that time, because it goes from, the focus on, oh, how can we all get into this conversation? Then it transitions to the Gatsby Daisy love affair that is rekindling for the first time in ages. And yes, he was very nervous. That is a great observation, Joanna Marie. It went from okay to, oh no, I don't belong with them. I can understand that. It gets pretty close and intimate with Gatsby and Daisy. He does fumble a lot and go out of character. This suave man shows his humanity in these moments in front of Daisy. Yeah, she does start crying. Why do you think she starts crying? Yes, he was definitely very nervous, right? This is the first time he's seeing Daisy in years. This is the love of his life. This is the reason why he's in this part of town. This is why he lives across the dock from her. Everything that Gatsby has done up until this point has been for Daisy. So when he sees her, it's almost like him being in the presence of his holy grail, right? His one thing that matters to him more than anything on this earth. He's in her presence, and this suave demeanor that is Jay Gatsby crumbles right away. He's nervous, he's anxious, he can't wait for her to get there, so he's asking Nick all of these things and fidgeting a lot, right? He sees within himself this level of uncomfortability in the idea of, oh my goodness, this is going to be my chance. Yes, Natalie, Gatsby was trying to impress her with money. Why do you think he does that? Why do you think he tries to focus so much on money for her? And clothes, yes. And Joanna Marie, and clothes, right? She looks at the shirts, right? Yes. The shirts, Natalie. Good job. Why do you think all of this is important? Or why do you think Gatsby finds all of this to be important? Okay, so the fact that they're made in Germany or in another place, what does this give to these clothes? What does it make these clothes compared to someone who just buys it down the street in New York? What's the difference? What's the one thing Jay Gatz did not have that Jay Gatsby can exude or act like he has? It starts with a C. The word I'm looking for starts with a C. All right. People at Ivy League schools like Oxford are seen to have more of this, right? I'm trying to talk around the word without giving it to you. It starts with a C. All right. The rich, the dignified, the intelligent feel that they have more of this when they are in these formal settings. No one? Anybody got it? All right. Overseas, yeah, they're overseas. I knew what you meant. It's all good. Those are two good C words. Yes. They definitely give him a false sense of confidence, right? Because he's not actually confident. Character, close. What are these rich, dignified people? What kind of character do they have? All right. For all you music lovers out there, the Migos try to do this. They try to create the what? It starts with a C. Not cunning. Not cunning. People from different nationalities all have their own what? Give you one more minute. Yes, culture. Thank you. Yes, culture. That is exactly what I was looking for, right? He believes that this culture of extravagant things, this nice lifestyle, this beautiful mansion, these beautiful foreign European shirts, all of this money, these parties, this is part of the rich lifestyle and culture, right? So he believes that this is exactly what Daisy wants, right? This is the one thing Gatsby did not have when he was just Jay Gatz, when he was first in the presence of Daisy. And who'd she end up with? She ended up with Tom Buchanan, right? This is something that Gatsby can never really come to terms with. So the one thing that he builds up irrationally is money and the appearance of wealth. That culture is what he is trying to force feed down Daisy's throat because that's what he thinks she wants. And in chapter 6, for those who didn't read chapter 6, you're going to see how wrong Gatsby is, per se. He does all of these things, but does he actually pay attention to the woman? Or is he thinking all within his own head, this is what she wants, without actually knowing what she wants? I want you guys for chapter 4 and 5, for those who turned them in, yeah, spoiler alert, right? For those who turned them in, I want you guys to make sure that you keep your vocab with your notes too. I'm not sure if you wrote them separately as you have been. Just make sure you're doing that. That way you keep them for yourself for the end. And then for those who haven't finished chapter 6, make sure you get that in by Monday. If you can get it to me by Friday, amazing. I appreciate that. But if you have it by Monday, still fine. Natalie, you can send the vocab with your packets, right? You know how it has the vocab section? Write all your vocab there. Everyone else has. But also just make sure you're taking the vocab for yourself in your notes. That way, if when we come back, you have to turn in those packets, you have it for your own notes. I want you to have it for yourself. Everything that we're doing, I want you to take down in your notes for yourself, okay? When we get to the compare and contrast writing, you can use this breakdown or you can use the graphic organizer that is in your packet. Jasmine, for your chapter 4 and 5, you can send them as pictures or you can put the pictures in a document. Either of those work. If you put them in a Google Doc, I can leave comments and help let you know where you went wrong on certain questions. If you send it to in pictures, I'll try to do that at the bottom in a little email. But either way, I'll be grading it and putting it into Alma. Google Docs just allows me to get commentary to you more directly. All right, guys. So it's 12:10. We went a few minutes over our timeline. I'm sorry for the confusion and the stream not working the first few times. I'm glad we were able to get that resolved. Alex, I don't know why your pictures aren't sending on Google Docs. Every time you send it, it's a blank doc. So if you want to just send them separately, I will gladly accept those. I know you sent me another email, so I definitely got that. But if you want to do that on the regular from now on, that's fine. I don't know why Google Docs was not working for you. So, guys, at this point in time, I'm not sure if you have another class, but we are going to wrap up. And I want you guys to really get familiar with the organization of writing. I know some of you definitely do a lot better in your writing. But for those who want to practice, look at those short stories that I gave you, right? Identify what the main idea is. What do you think the main talking point is and what the supporting details are for that talking point? See if you can do this for yourself and identify these things before you even get into writing, okay? If you practice, you will further develop your skills and eventually become more and more comfortable with the idea of writing 3, 4, 5-page essays and potentially at the collegiate level, even a 10-page paper, okay? So practice, look this over. For those who have the packet and for those individuals who need to download it from home, on page 601, okay, on page 601, I want you guys to do the think it through. Just read it over, read the steps. There's not much or anything at all that you really have to do there. It's really just building the thought process on how you want to go through and write your compare and contrast. There's 5 steps. Okay. Step 5 goes on to the next page, and then it says your turn, identifying the main idea and supporting details. So what I want you guys to do is to do number 2 where it says your turn, and that'll be nice practice. Um, on the packet, which packet, Tamaya? Do you mean the short reading packet or the textbook packet? If you mean the short reading packets, you need to answer all 10 questions or 11 questions, however many there may be, open ended and multiple choice. The compare and contrast one, so to turn into me, right? To turn into me, you will be doing the review at the end. For your notes, and what I want to see in your notes for your journal grade is you doing the your turn sections. All right. Everywhere it says your turn and it asks you to implement something, I would like you to do that. Okay. But what's great about your chapter is your chapter review really is at the end. Your turns are pretty spaced out, and then the actual homework of the chapter review is at the end. So you should be good for now. Does that help you out? The your turns are for your notes, right? You're going to be taking your notes for that journal grade, and the review at the end is your assignment for homework. Once we get through this full chapter, you'll be able to do that effectively. You don't have to necessarily do that for now. These chapter packets, I knew we're going to take more than one class with our limited time. So I designed it so that you can build up the skills before you get to the end at the review. I want you to feel secure and a little bit more knowledgeable on the information before you go and try it yourself and realize, oh, if I had another opportunity to do this now that I know all of it, I would do better. Any other questions, guys? All right. If there are no other questions, there's another question. Okay. Are we going to go back to school? Any updates on that? So, New Jersey did send out an update about schools' dates having to go with when they removed their quarantine. New Jersey is on a state of lockdown right now because Jersey has a ton of cases of the virus. So I don't believe we're going to be going back April 1st as we initially thought. They will give more information to you guys about that when it's available. Mr. Andy's been doing a good job at reaching out to people. Nate, you do not have an essay yet, but you will have an essay. Yes. When is what due, Joanna Marie? Chapter 6 or this chapter packet? The Compare and Compass chapter review. You don't have to worry about the chapter review because we have not gone through the chapter. Once we've completely gone through the chapter, that's when I will assign the chapter review. But I want you guys to work on right now is the sections where it says your turn. That's going to be for your notes, but it's still important. Does that make sense? So you guys have chapter 6 of Great Gatsby. You have the your turn for your chapter packet, your turn number 2, because that's where we are. Well, Jasmine, you better hope you don't see your brother's friend. And hopefully your brother hasn't seen your brother's friend in a while. All right? But all things aside, have a great rest of your day, guys. And hopefully we can avoid further technical difficulties in the future. Have a great rest of your day. Be safe.